My name is Natalie Ribble, she, her, and at the summit, I'm going to be talking about inclusive programming. The title of the talk is Inclusive Programming, the Foundations of Building a Kick-Ass Program for Any Client.
Perfect. If you were to give us a teaser about your summit talk without giving it away, like how would you sort of describe what you're really going to talk about?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have worked with hundreds and hundreds of varied clients, from like true beginners all the way to seniors, all the way to professional athletes in my career, and have really been able to develop a system of writing exercise programs that can meet each of those people where they're at. So that's not to say that all of the programs look the same, but the structure and the skeleton of all of them is the same. And it makes it really easy to adjust to that true beginner that all of us are so passionate about working with, adjust to, you know, that person who has more experience and is wanting to lift heavy with a barbell. And so once you have the structure and understand that, it can save so much time and mental energy, and also makes it really easy to create programs that get results for the clients, right? Like not necessarily body results or aesthetic results, but building strength, building fitness, feeling better, being out of pain, whatever it is that is the goal that that client has. And I feel like a lot of trainers are sometimes kind of running around in the dark trying to put exercises together in a way that makes sense. And my goal is just to give everybody the secret that I have found that works to building effective and inclusive programming for any client.
Awesome. I'm super excited about that. So is this something that's more specific for one-on-one training, or is it a type of template that you can utilize if you were to do like semi-private groups, that type of thing?
Yeah, you can use it for anything. I have used this model for one-on-one. I have used it for small groups. I have also used it for large scale group fitness and teams. And so obviously there's slight differences in how you apply it. But the beauty of the model is in its simplicity and its ability to be applied to any setting or any client.
That's awesome. That's amazing. So what would you say would be a takeaway for our summit attendees? Like what do you hope to give them that they can take and implement right away?
Yeah, absolutely. I think understanding the foundations of exercise programming from an exercise science side, I think our sort of body positive community is amazing at meeting people with empathy, making them feel seen, you know, modifying movements to be inclusive. But sometimes we miss the more structured side of what we need to do. And so sending everybody home with this system, this template, and honestly, what we're going to do too is write some programs. So we're going to have a workshop piece where everybody sits down and thinks about a client that they have been working with, maybe struggling to put programming together for, and then be able to work in small groups and with, you know, my feedback and advice on creating programs for those clients. So not only are they walking away with like lots of information in the framework, but also some programs that they can put into effect on Monday.
Nice. That's awesome. That is like super valuable to have this type of information. I mean, I think, you know, most of us have been through some type of certification training, and a lot of the big certifications don't really walk you through how to write a good program.
Yeah, no, they don't. They teach you a lot about anatomy and physiology and the muscles and how they insert and things like that. Maybe like form for certain exercises, but when it comes to things like what exercises do we pair together? Should we be doing full body or body part splits? You know, what order do the exercises go in? How many sets and reps should we be doing? You know, how to pair exercises appropriately. They don't really give us that. And, you know, over almost 10 years of coaching, I've seen a lot of different programming models and kind of been able to compile everything from all of the smartest people that I've met and worked with to find a system that is like beautifully simple, but also like really works.
Nice. Last question is just if you could tell us a little bit about how you sort of became an expert in this topic, or like what really brought you to wanting to feel passionate enough about this topic to speak about it.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of a geek for it. I'm a puzzle girl. So I used to work in IT and computers, and it was really fun for me because it was like when it finally clicked and you figured out what the combination of things were. And that's kind of how I see programming, is this beautiful like art and puzzle. And there's the science piece of it that we need to understand. And then there's the art piece of it, which is applying it to the individuals and knowing the people that we work with. And to me, like nailing that program for a person where they're not in pain, they're making progress, they're feeling strong and badass is just like the best, most satisfying feeling. So I got really geeky about it. I went back and got my master's in applied physiology and kinesiology from the University of Florida, and definitely learned a lot there. I've also paid a lot of different coaches over my career, like worked myself as a client with a lot of different coaches and been able to, take little bits and pieces from each of them. And in my current role, I started as a programming assistant, just like writing personal training programs for all of our clients, and have worked my way up to be chief of staff and head coach. So my every single day is teaching coaches how to be better coaches, whether that's how to communicate an exercise to a client in a way that they'll understand, how to build a program that's like smarter and safer and more effective, and have just really fallen in love with that piece of it. Spent a lot of my personal time going to conferences, reading books, following people on social media. But I do think, the 8 years of experience training kind of the variety of people that I have, in combination with the more formal educational experiences I've had, really have made me passionate about this piece.
Yeah, that's awesome. It sounds like not only do you have a lot of experience in time wise, but it's just that you've been paying attention in gathering more and more information, which is, like when I'm training my coaches, I always say, like, you're only going to be as good as the amount of training or knowledge you continue to gain. Because if you learn how to coach today and you don't do anything between now and next year, you're not going to grow as a coach. You're not going to unlock those new ways of thinking or those new ways to approach things. So if you're constantly doing that, you're learning, and you're, I think, shifting and changing as a coach so much quicker.
And I think there's so much information out there on programming that can make it seem like this unbelievably complicated, like scary, weird thing that nobody understands. And certainly there are some like more complicated programming techniques that would be appropriate in certain places.
Right.
But until we understand like the basic foundation of this and what it should look like, you can't safely or appropriately implement or even really start to understand those things. And so my goal for this summit is to really give everybody the structure, the framework, and the foundation, because once you know that, then you can see things that you see online or other trainers doing or whatever, and think to yourself, how does this fit in to the framework that I know? And how does this then apply to this client? Maybe it does. Maybe that's actually something that I've never seen before, but that's really going to work for this person that I've been working with. Or like, hey, that's cool, but also that is for a specific population that is not my population, right? But, the model that I've created and continued to like adapt and work on and teach really is one that, like, once you get it, it's so simple that people are like, is that it? And I'm like, kind of. Also, then like, here's all of the bigger pieces that you can then fit into this.
Right.
And I just think it's really cool. I'm excited to talk about it, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, I think any really good system is simple. It's like one of those things where when you've actually developed it, it almost looks so simple. It feels silly, that it took so long to get there, but it does. Like, and simple works, right? Cool.
The best coaches like understand the basics at a really, really, really deep level, whether that's basic movements like, split squats or dumbbell bench press or planks, or whether that's the simplicity of like a programming system. The best coaches aren't doing always the most complicated things. And I will stand by that until the day I die.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. I have a black belt in martial arts, and we used to always say the only difference between a black belt and a white belt is time. Like, we're still doing the same basics, it's just that we've done them longer. So we've become more of an expert at the basics, so
Yeah.
Makes total sense. Cool. Well, I'm
still doing split squats every single week. I'm still doing pull-ups every single week. You never stop doing these movements. You never stop fine-tuning that craft, whether that's programming or specific exercises or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I'm really excited to personally hear your whole talk, because it's going to be, I know I'm going to pull away so many notes from that. So I'm really excited about it. It's going to be really valuable for all the participants.